Bill O'Reilly is going to talk about black people again. Enjoy.
Look, the president mentioned in his remarks a culture of cynicism on the streets. And it's not just blacks, but it's the poor and the hardcore, or what they call gangsters. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's a culture of cynicism, like, we can't make it, we're not going to be a part of this, we're going to sell drugs, we're going to do what we want. You've got to get in there. And I don't know if you guys see the urgency of that. You have to attack the fundamental disease if you want to cure it. Now, I submit to you that you're going to have to get people like Jay-Z, Kanye West, all of these gangster rappers to knock it off. That's number one.
What I think these boys need is they need positive role models, which you said.
Listen to me. You got to get where they live. All right? They idolize these guys with the hats on backwards and the terrible rap lyrics and a drug and all of that. You got to get these guys. And I think President Obama can do it. And you got to put them on TV and the net, and they got to say, knock it off. This is wrong. You've got to get them all. And then you got to get the president and the first lady and every other profile. You had Magic Johnson there today. He's a good guy. And you got a bunch of these guys. And you got a barrage, and make it uncomfortable to have a baby out of wedlock. Make it uncomfortable to sell drugs. You got to reverse the peer pressure. You see where I'm coming from here? It's these gangster rappers, it's the athletes, it's the tattoo guys. You got to get them in there to tell these kids that you got to stop the destructive behavior. You're going to wind up in a morgue or in prison.
I
like the nutrition thing. I like the garden. I think that's all good.
Healthy eating.
I
Let's move.
want Michelle Obama
exercise.
to come on this program right here. And I want Michelle Obama to look into that camera and say, you teenage girls, you stop having sex. You stop getting pregnant. This is wrong. I want her to do that right here.
He's got the same shtick every time. Like, he lectures the black community like they're children. Back to reality, Bill. So, first of all, the legal age for sex is what? I know it varies state by state. 17? 18? You can't tell people to stop having sex and expect them to listen. It's hardwired in our brains. We're human beings. It's our biology. When a guy is 18 years old, it's the horniest he's ever been in his life. I mean, you could say wear condoms. That makes sense. You could say use the pill or go to family planning centers or be responsible, go to sex ed classes or whatever. But Republicans don't want to do those things, the things that'll actually work. They want to just point their finger and say, stop it. Hey, you, stop it. Yeah, good luck. The success rate for that will be 0. But there's also just really two big general problems with what Bill O'Reilly is saying there. And, to be fair, in all seriousness, I have no problem with trying to get famous people that have a lot of sway to try to preach responsibility and steer kids who might be misguided in the right direction. I really don't have a problem with that. But that's half the picture at most, and it's probably not even half the picture. Because big problem number one is that's not a policy goal. That's just a lecture. Okay? And that's not going to work. What you need to do is create opportunity. Why do these kids turn to selling drugs or doing drugs? Maybe because there's no job opportunities in their community. I mean, they don't have access to affordable college. That's another problem with the whole student loan debt crisis right now, over $1 trillion worth. I mean, that's the problem right there. They don't have health care, so if something goes wrong with them or their family, they go broke. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America. So there are larger systemic problems that his way of addressing it is not going to help. And problem number two with what Bill O'Reilly is saying is the massive double standard. And this is why a lot of people roll their eyes when he starts talking about the black community. Because one day on our show, what do? We went through about 20 songs that were all from white rockers that talk about doing LSD and doing cocaine, doing heroin, talking about depression and suicide, or there's endless amounts of country songs where they go on and on about drinking alcohol and fucking. But Bill O'Reilly never, ever, 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 ever criticizes that gangsta culture. So why is it that one culture, which can sing about violence and drugs and fucking, is, oh, no, they get a pass. No gangsta culture there, but there is a gangsta culture when it's black people who sing about the same things. So it's this massive double standard. And also, you want to talk about gangster? You want to talk about sending the wrong message? What's more gangsta to you? Selling a little bit of weed on the corner in order to have some pocket change so you can get food, or invading a country that didn't attack us and occupying it for 10 years while we kill 100,000 civilians and steal oil? Yeah, see, I think the Bush administration and the Republican Party are way more gangsta than any gangsta rapper could hope to be. And also, when you don't acknowledge these massive double standards, Bill, you lose your credibility because you're not objective in your analysis. You're not being honest. You're not saying, hey, rock music sings endlessly about these things too, and that's a problem. Hey, gangsta is actually how we act with our 900 military bases worldwide and invading countries and propping up dictators and suppressing democracy. If you're going to talk about gangsta, you got to be objective in your gangsta analysis. And the bottom line is Bill O'Reilly is harder on black people than he is on white people because he views black people as the other, whereas white people get a pass for doing oftentimes the same actions. I remember, it wasn't that long ago, I'll never forget this because it was just so obvious what he was doing. There was the story about Justin Bieber drag racing in Miami, and he was high, and there were like Xanax pills, and there was weed, and all these things, and O'Reilly covered the story, and you know what he said? He said, I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for the kid. Now think about that. If Jay-Z or Kanye West, like he mentioned right there, Jay-Z, gangstas, the weird way he says it. But if it was a black rapper, black entertainer, who did the exact same thing Bieber did, would he say that? I feel bad for the kid. I feel bad for what the kid went through. No, he wouldn't. He would rail against them, like he does all the time. That's why nobody takes you seriously, Bill O'Reilly.